Incredible discovery, CEO exposes hidden struggles of 25-year-old girl who collapsed at work. Lily had always dazzled her co-workers at the bustling tech startup in San Francisco. Her smile radiated positivity, and her relentless work ethic seemed to echo the American dream. She juggled deadlines like a pro, all while raising her younger siblings after their father's illness had left the family reeling. Yet beneath her cheerful exterior lay a heavy burden, crushing medical debt and the needs of her family pressed down on her chest, a constant reminder that her smiles were often painted over unyielding pain. As the clock ticked painfully closer to the big presentation day, she felt the pressure build, like a boiling pot about to overflow. Her heart raced amid the whir of computers and murmur of colleagues. Each breath became a struggle, yet she pushed through, dismissing her body's cries for rest. It was just another day in this fast-paced world, and success was the only option. Suddenly, while presenting, her world spun. The chaos escalated around her, a cacophony of voices blending into a blur. Then came the silence. Lily collapsed on the floor, her computer still projecting slides behind her. Colleagues gasped, eyes wide in shock, their faces a mix of bewilderment and concern. James, the compassionate CEO, was among them. He rushed to her side, instinctively kneeling on the cold office floor. As he cradled her in his arms, he felt the warmth of her skin turn cold. The chaos faded into echoes, leaving just him and Lily, her breaths shallow and uneven. It was in that moment he discovered that the bright, hard-working woman before him was battling a storm he had been unaware of, a storm born from desperation, resilience, and love. "Hey, just breathe, you've got this," he whispered, feeling a profound shift within himself. Lily stirred, her eyes fluttering open, revealing pools of exhaustion mixed with determination. In that fragile moment, her truth was laid bare. Years of struggle and sacrifice echoed in her eyes. The weight of her family's expectations pressed heavily on her shoulders. James didn't just see an employee, he saw a woman transformed by the harsh realities of life. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. James's heart ached for her, igniting a fire within him to change the very culture of their company. He wanted to foster openness about mental health, to create an environment where the struggles of young adults like Lily weren't shoved aside but recognized and addressed. But could he really change the path of an entire company? As Lily began to recuperate, she was forced to confront the complexities of her life, the fraught relationship with her estranged mother, haunted by misunderstandings and regrets. Could healing be possible? Was there even a way to rebuild the bridges that once stood firm? The thoughts consumed her as she lay in bed that night, feeling the weight of her decisions pressing down. She realized that the road ahead was uncertain, filled with questions about self-reliance versus vulnerability, between the expectations set by the past and the support she so desperately needed. In a world obsessed with success, would she finally find the courage to define it on her own terms? The narrative unfolded like a tightrope walk. You could sense the world around her holding its breath, waiting to learn if Lily would step towards hope or retreat back into hiding. The struggle for one life, two families, and a work community hung delicately in the balance, leaving readers enthralled, wondering what would happen when the past collided with a chance for redemption. The sun peeked through the curtains, casting a soft glow across Lily's room. She stirred awake, her mind still tangled in the remnants of yesterday's fears and revelations. The gravity of her collapse weighed heavily on her. She hadn't just fallen, she had exposed a vulnerability she had hidden beneath layers of optimism and grit. As she threw back the covers, a rush of determination filled her. Today couldn't be like the rest. After all, she had tasted the bitter fruit of exhaustion, and it tasted like surrender. She needed to reclaim her voice, not just for her family but for herself. with each step to the kitchen, memories flooded back of late nights spent bouncing between school, work, and the constant worry gnawing at her heart. Would it ever end? The mounting bills, the anxiety of failing her siblings, all piled high and seemingly insurmountable. After a quick breakfast, she glanced at her reflection in the hallway mirror. Today, she vowed, she would seek help. There was no shame in it. If James could stand by her, it was time for her to find the courage within. Arriving at the office, Lily felt the air pulse with energy, at once invigorating and overwhelming. She walked past her desk, where her computer still flickered to life, a reminder of the chaos that had unraveled just days before. Her gaze caught on James in the distance, engaged in a conversation with some team members. He was laughing a warm, genuine sound. In that moment, she was reminded of how rare it was for leaders to genuinely connect with their teams. She knew she needed to speak to him. With a flutter of nerves in her stomach, she approached, her heart thumping loudly in her chest. As she neared, a quiet resolve washed over her. She was tired of hiding. James. She called softly. He turned, his smile faltering slightly as he noticed the serious look on her face. Lily, hey. How are you feeling? Better, but can we talk? She asked, her voice steadier than she felt. James nodded, leading her to a quieter corner of the office, a small meeting room where the hum of conversation faded into a gentle whisper. Everything okay? His concern was evident, his brow slightly furrowed. Not really, she admitted, swallowing hard. I thought I could handle everything, but she hesitated, feeling the weight of her truth pressing against her heart. I can't do it alone anymore. I need help. After a moment's pause, James leaned forward. You're not alone, Lily. We want to support our team. Your health matters more than deadlines or presentations. Hope flickered within her as he spoke. It felt like the first spark of light on a long and dark road. Can we look at making some changes? Something that helps everyone understand mental health better? James's eyes brightened, and a smile touched his lips. Absolutely. We can start a conversation around mental well-being. You've inspired me to think differently about our work culture. Lily felt lighter, the burden beginning to lift. They discussed ideas, workshops, support groups, and even open forums to destigmatize conversations around mental health. Each suggestion felt like a step forward, not just for her but for everyone who began to struggle silently within the walls of the company. Just then, a thought crystallized in her mind. If they could confront these challenges together, perhaps she could mend her own familial ties as well. It wasn't just about survival, it was about creating a community that could thrive by facing their realities openly. As they wrapped up their conversation, James looked at her with palpable admiration. Thank you for your bravery. You've already begun changing lives, starting with your own. Lily smiled, a genuine warmth blooming within her chest. But even as the dialogue filled her with hope, another weight lingered in the background: her mother. The thought sent a chill through her. Would her mother ever understand? With every step away from the meeting room, she felt an echo of doubt brush against her. Would seeking her mother's forgiveness be her next leap? Lily paused, breath catching in her throat. The path ahead shimmered with potential but was laced with uncertainty. Could she truly confront the past? The world spun in dizzying possibilities, and as Lily glanced around the bright office filled with hope and excitement, she stood at the cusp of change. Would she take that next, daunting step towards healing both at work and at home? The following morning, the sun blazed through the window once again, illuminating the room in a blend of oranges and golds. Unlike the day before, Lily woke up with a surge of determination both daunting and electric. She had spent hours last night crafting a plan not just for her workplace, but for her family too. Life had become a whirlpool of responsibilities, and it was time to grab her life preserver. She brewed coffee, the rich aroma comforting as she paced the kitchen. With each sip, she felt emboldened. Today she would visit her mother. It wasn't just an errand, it was a confrontation she had dodged for far too long. Apologies seemed sorely needed, but what if her mother still didn't see it the way she did? Lily's heart raced as she drove to her childhood home. Memories of their tumultuous relationship ebbed and flowed like waves lapping at the shore. She recalled the many times she had returned home, hoping for understanding, only to find her mother entrenched in anger or, worse, silence. Doubts crept in, each one a shadow taunting her. What if this time was different? What if nothing changed? When she arrived, the familiar house loomed before her, its paint faded and peeling. Taking a deep breath, she stepped onto the porch, each creak echoing like a heartbeat. She raised her hand to knock but hesitated. She could already picture her mother's face, stern, closed off, but maybe, just maybe, it would be softer today. With trembling fingers, she knocked. It felt like an eternity before the door swung open, revealing her mother, looking as worn as the house itself. Her expression was unreadable, yet Lily could see a flicker of shock in her eyes. "Lily?" Her mother's voice cracked. "Hi, Mom." The words came out small, tentative. But there was no backing down now. "Come in." Her mother stepped aside, allowing Lily to enter a space filled with complicated emotions and years untold. They settled in the living room, the silence stretching like a taut string. Lily could feel the weight of their unspoken history pressing down on her, yet she summoned every ounce of courage she had found. "Mom, I came here because I want to talk." Her voice wavered, and she pushed on. "I know things have been tough between us, and I know I haven't been the best daughter." Her mother shifted in her seat but didn't speak. Here lay an abyss, one that Lily wanted to bridge. "I hit a wall, and I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I want to be honest about what I've been feeling. I need you to understand that I never wanted to hurt you, not even when I chose to take on so much." The room felt charged, a battlefield of past grievances and future hopes. "I wish you had trusted me to help," her mother finally said, pain radiating from her voice. "I've always wanted the best for you. I just didn't know how to be there for you." Tears pricked at Lily's eyes. "I wish you would have said something. I was so afraid of disappointing you that I pushed you away instead." Her mother's gaze softened, and for the first time in what felt like ages, there was a tentative step toward understanding. "Can we try again? I want to rebuild whatever we had," Lily said, feeling a glimmer of hope rising in that moment of fragility. Her mother looked thoughtful, the lines of worry on her face easing slightly. It was a start, just a small one, but a start nonetheless. The air hung thick with unspoken promises and fears, waiting to be dealt with. Just as the conversation began to deepen, a forgotten noise emerged from the kitchen, her mother's phone buzzing incessantly. It broke the fragile moment, and there was a hint of concern in her eyes. Duty tugged at her, as it always had. "Excuse me. I need to check this," she said apologetically, half rising from her seat. Lily's heart sank. This wasn't the moment she had envisioned. She had opened a door, but it seemed about to close again. As her mother hurried away, uncertainty swirled inside her. How often had they almost reached connection only to be pulled back into their old patterns? Would this be another missed opportunity? The buzz of tension clung to her like a thick fog as she glanced around the room, wondering how to keep the dialogue alive. She needed to find a way to ensure this moment wasn't lost. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket, a reminder of her meeting with James later. A smile tugged at her lips while the air grew still around her. She was learning to piece her life together. Would she be able to weave the threads of her childhood and her new hopes before the day closed? All that mattered now was taking a step forward, opening up to love, and maybe, just maybe, finding healing in that gap between them. Lily caught her breath, feeling the warmth from their initial connection slipping away, but she refused to allow fear to hold her back. As she waited for her mom, she resolved to seize the moment again. She had to. What would it take to keep their connection alive? And was her mother ready to step closer to her, too? Lily sat in the living room, her fingers nervously tracing the worn fabric of the couch. Each second felt heavy with the weight of unexpressed words. She glanced toward the kitchen, where her mother had vanished, and her heart drummed anxiously against her chest. What if she returned, and they just slipped back into silence? A thin smile fluttered on her lips as she thought about the conversation waiting on the other side of that kitchen door. Would it transform into something more than an obligation? This was her chance, and she couldn't let it slip away like before. The buzzing phone on the table caught her eye, drawing her focus. Her mother's phone lay there, still vibrating with urgency. Lily glanced at the screen. Her mother's boss. An irrational jealousy sparked within her. Lily had always been competitive with her mother, and given how much work dominated her life, it was easy to feel overshadowed. The world never seemed big enough for both their ambitions. But that's not what today is about, she murmured to herself, taking a deep breath to steady her nerves. She focused on the moment, on the dialogue she so desperately needed with her mother. Still, her mind wandered back to the phone. What if this call became more important than their talk? Lily closed her eyes for a brief second, mentally shaking off the negative thoughts. The slate needed to be cleaned, her past misunderstandings, the weight of unexpressed sentiments. She had come here for clarity, and clarity she would find, or at least try to. Her mother emerged moments later, her posture visibly different. The earlier concern on her face had softened, replaced with a touch of determination. "Sorry about that," she said, tucking the phone into her pocket. "I needed to handle a few things at work. But I'm here now." "Mom," the word trembled between them, a bridge waiting to be crossed. "Let us talk," her mother said softly, settling back into her chair, the space between them charged with unspoken hopes. "Okay." Lily swallowed hard, searching for the right words. "I want to know how you feel about everything." It was a simple invitation but felt monumental. Her mother's brow furrowed slightly as if struggling to decode her daughter's request. "It's complicated, Lily. You were always so driven, so capable. I worried I wouldn't be able to keep up." "I didn't want you to keep up," Lily exclaimed, her voice growing stronger with each word. "I wanted you beside me. I pushed you away, thinking I had to do it all alone. I'm learning that's not true. I need you." Tears glimmered in her mother's eyes. "I wanted to be there," she whispered. "But I felt like I had to provide, to be the strong one." Her voice faltered, the crack revealing years of vulnerability kept hidden. The air thickened with shared realizations. Lily's heart beat steadily like a drum, each pulse connecting them in that fragile moment. "We need to find a way to be honest with each other," she urged softly. "To be brave together." Her mother nodded, bracing against a wave of emotion. "You're right." With their newfound understanding, the conversation flowed like a gentle stream, the weight of years heavy but finally lifting. They touched on memories, happy moments mingled with the suffocating shadows of silence and regret. Just when it seemed they might finally find their footing, Lily's phone buzzed again. Her meeting with James loomed like an uninvited guest. The thought of the potential fallout momentarily distracted her, her heart raced, wanting so much from both worlds: her mother, her responsibilities, her new life. "I have to go soon," she began, hesitantly. "I understand," her mother replied, a hint of resignation in her voice. "But can we keep talking?" Lily pleaded. "I want this to be a part of my life moving forward." "Yes," her mother said, her eyes shimmering with resolve. "I want that too." They reached out across the expanse of the couch, fingers brushing tentatively, a sign of the connection they'd so longed for. But just as laughter began to creep in and the heaviness of yesterday's burden started to fade, the doorbell rang with a sharp insistence. Both women looked at each other wide-eyed, a fresh wave of uncertainty rising in the air between them. "Who could that be?" her mother asked, frowning. "I don't know," Lily replied, anxiety bubbling up again. "Maybe it's just a delivery." But the instinct in her gut said differently. Would this unexpected visitor bring another storm to their moment of clarity? The door held a world of possibilities and unanswered questions, and as her mother rose to answer it, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that everything was about to change again. What if this was the moment that tested the fibers of their new bond? Would they stand firm or unravel at another twist of fate? Lily felt a shiver race down her spine as her mother moved toward the door. The sound of the doorbell echoed in her mind, intertwining with her chaotic thoughts. Was it just a delivery or something that could unravel this fragile moment between them? She could feel her heart racing, like a drum urging her to take action, to say something. "Mom, wait!" Lily called out, her voice slicing through the tension. Her mother hesitated, hand hovering over the doorknob. The look in her eyes held uncertainty, then a hint of something else, caution perhaps, the instinct to protect their newfound connection. What if it's just someone selling something? Her mother murmured, glancing back at Lily. Then let us just ignore it, Lily replied, a hint of hope fluttering inside. Please, I want to stay in this moment with you. After a brief pause, her mother stepped away from the door and returned to the couch, the conflict evident on her face. The doorbell rang again, this time more insistently. It was an intruder to their shared intimacy, a reminder of all the chaos outside those walls. Okay, let us ignore it, Lily insisted, feeling a rush of relief as her mother settled back in, the air slowly shifting back to a comfortable quiet. They exchanged glances, smiles breaking through their earlier tension like sunlight after a storm. But then the door swung open. They both jolted in surprise, eyes widening in tandem. At the threshold stood a tall figure, his presence commanding yet familiar. "James?" Lily whispered, disbelief washing over her. She hadn't expected him to show up unannounced, especially now. "What are you doing here?" she demanded, her voice sharper than she intended. Uncertainty knotted in her stomach. She wasn't ready for confrontation, especially not with her mother sitting just across from her. James looked between the two women, an awkward tension hanging in the air. "I needed to talk," he said, his eyes firm yet uncertain. "It couldn't wait." Lily's heart sank at the seriousness in his tone. This wasn't just a casual drop-in. Something was up, and it worried her more than she wanted to admit. "What's wrong?" her mother interjected, her protective instincts kicking in. James pinched his lips together, glancing at Lily as if weighing his options. "It's about the project and you," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "What about the project?" Lily's heart raced, dread pooling within her. "Is it the meeting? Did I mess something up?" "No, it's not that," James reassured. "It's more about how things have changed." His brow furrowed, the weight of something heavy lurking just beneath the surface. Before he could continue, Lily threw a glance at her mother, who wore a look of concern. This moment felt critical, like the air had shifted and the world outside their comforting bubble pressed in hard. "Why don't you take a seat, James?" Lily suggested, her stomach tightening. She didn't want to turn her back on her mother or the moment they had begun to build. But the severity of James's visit prompted her to redirect focus. "You can say what you need to say." He hesitated a moment longer, then stepped into the room, closing the door behind him with a soft sigh. Lily watched him settle into an armchair, distant yet so close. The room felt charged, with uncertainty crackling like electricity in the knot of silence that enveloped all three of them. "Are you able to tell me what this is about?" her mother asked, her voice steady but laced with worry. James hesitated for a heartbeat, then looked directly at Lily. "There are things happening at the company you need to know about, things that might change everything for you." Lily's breath caught in her throat. What could he possibly be talking about? What did it mean for her relationship with her mother? The full weight of the moment pressed down on her, the sky darkening with questions that thickened the air. "What do you mean?" she finally managed, trepidation threading her words. James took a deep breath, the atmosphere thickening, and silence stretched like a taut wire about to snap. "I think it's time you learned some hard truths, Lily, about the project, about your role, and what S really expected. The words hung like a question mark, a chilling wind blowing through the warmth they'd just begun to cultivate. What was going to happen next? Would this revelation shatter the delicate balance they'd fought to restore? Lily's heart pounded as she braced for impact, her instinct screaming that everything she had worked for could be at stake. The atmosphere thickened, and tension coiled around them like a serpentine shadow. Lily caught her mother's eye, searching for reassurance but finding only worry mirrored back at her. "James, just tell me what you mean," Lily said, her voice trembling. Every passing second felt heavier, as if the walls themselves were leaning closer, closing in. He leaned forward, elbows resting on his knees. "Lily, I've been spending a lot of time at the office lately, more than I'd like to admit. In the midst of everything, I stumbled upon some behind-the-scenes discussions you wouldn't have anticipated." "What do you mean?" Lily's pulse raced, fear creeping in. Was this about her job? Her future? James rubbed his temples, frustration flickering across his face. "Let me be clear. There are people questioning your commitment to the project. They don't understand what you're capable of. It's not just about your performance, it's about the perception of who you are in a male-dominated environment." Her breath hitched. She felt heat rise to her cheeks, a mix of embarrassment and anger. "But I've been giving it everything I have. I've worked late, stayed motivated through stressful meetings." "I know," he interjected, his voice softer now, trying to bridge the gap of misunderstanding. "But there are higher-ups who see you." As he paused, choosing his words carefully, "a risk. They think you might not handle the pressure, especially after what happened last quarter. They're considering pulling you from the project." Lily's heart sank like a stone. The words "what happened last quarter" echoed her darkest moments, a collapse from exhaustion that felt like a shadow chasing her. It wasn't just about her work anymore, it cut deeper into her identity, her worth. "You need to be prepared," James continued. "If you want to prove them wrong, you may have to take an unexpected leap. This could mean facing them directly, revealing your struggles, and showing them how strong you are." Lily glanced at her mother, who was sitting silent, her expression a mix of pride and fear. Could she really face this? Part of her felt exposed just at the thought. "I can't just walk in there and spill my life story," she said, voice wavering. The idea of vulnerability felt unbearable. "What if they don't see me any differently?" "They need to see the real you," James replied. His tone was urgent but compassionate. "You have to break the expectations set against you and show them there's more than what meets the eye. You don't have to do this alone." The room blurred momentarily. Lily felt fragile, like a mirror about to shatter. Yet, there was something beneath her fear, maybe hope. She was tired of hiding in the shadows. Perhaps it was time to step into the light, to reclaim her narrative, but how? Was it possible to wear her scars as badges of honor? "What's my first step?" She inhaled deeply, heart racing. James softened. "We'll strategize together. You prepare your story, and we'll find a way to present it. You can turn their doubts into your strength." Her mother finally spoke, and her voice was steady. "I'll support you, Lily. No matter what you decide." The warmth of her mother's words built a fragile fortress against the doubt gnawing at Lily. But as she started to feel empowered, a seed of worry sprouted in the back of her mind. What if revealing her struggles put her career on the line in a worse way? The weight of the decision loomed over her like a storm cloud. Could she dig deep enough for the truth? "Let's start right now," Lily said, a flicker of determination igniting within her. "Tell me everything you found out about them, about everything." James made a subtle nod, but before he could begin, the door rattled again, startling them all. The moment of clarity slipped away like sand through her fingers. Who could that be now? And just as her heart started to race once more, anticipation woven with dread, she wondered if this new visitor would change everything yet again. The door creaked open, and a figure emerged from the shadowy corridor. Lily's breath caught in her throat. It was Michael, the CEO. His presence alone commanded attention, a mix of authority and curiosity weighing heavily in the room. She could feel her heart pounding, a wild drum echoing in her ears as he stepped forward, scanning their faces. "I hope I'm not interrupting anything important," he said, his tone cordial, but there was an intensity in his gaze that sent chills down her spine. Lily's mind raced. What could he want? Did he know about the conversations happening behind her back? She glanced at James and her mother, both of whom wore expressions of surprise. James stood up, smoothing his suit jacket. "Not at all, Michael. We were just discussing some office matters." The corners of Michael's lips quirked slightly. "Good, I thought I might drop by to share some thoughts on the project and the team." His eyes fell on Lily, scrutinizing her as if he could see right through her. "Lily," he continued, his voice dropping to a softer, almost conspiratorial tone, "I've heard a lot about you. I wanted to have a word, if you don't mind." The lump in her throat felt insurmountable. Sure," she managed to squeak out, her heart racing with a mix of fear and curiosity. She stepped forward, feeling every set of eyes in the room on her. James and her mother exchanged glances, likely unsure whether to intervene. Michael motioned for her to follow him into the adjacent room. "Let's talk privately," he suggested. Her insides twisted with anxiety, but there was something in the way he asked that made her believe he wasn't there to dismiss her. Once inside, he closed the door softly behind them, creating a cocoon of privacy. The air felt charged, almost electric. "I want you to know," he began, leaning against the desk casually, "that I've been keeping an eye on you and your work. I think you have a lot of potential." Lily blinked, taken aback. "But I've been hearing things about being pulled from the project that I'm a risk." He held up a hand, cutting her off gently. "I don't believe that. There's something powerful about vulnerability. I value authenticity, especially in a leader. You've shown resilience despite setbacks, and that takes guts." Her guard began to lower. "You mean it?" "I do," he said firmly. "But to get ahead, you need to show them your true self. Don't hide your struggles, Lily. Share them. People connect with stories, they inspire action, change perceptions." His words ignited a small flame within her, a timid hope carving its way through her fear. "But what if they judge me?" "Judgment exists everywhere. But if you own your story, it'll define you. Not the judgment anymore, but your courage." He paused, studying her reaction. "I want you to present at the next meeting. Discuss your journey, your vision. Let them see the real you." Lily's mind spun. It felt monumental, the kind of risk that could shatter everything, yet it felt right too. "And if I fail?" she asked, vulnerability creeping in despite her courage. Michael stepped closer, speaking earnestly. "Failure is part of growth. If you want to break barriers, you'll have to embrace the uncomfortable. You are stronger than they expect. You just need to show them." A soft thrill coursed through Lily, her heart racing with the dual possibilities of glory and failure. She felt a surge of warmth, a burgeoning belief in herself that had long been dormant. "What if it's not enough?" she whispered, though a flicker of determination danced in her eyes. Michael leaned in, his voice low yet vibrant. "But what if it changes everything?" In that moment, she felt a shift, the weight of her decision no longer bearing down like a storm cloud. It was a chance to become the architect of her own future. The very thought empowered her. As she opened the door, ready to rejoin her supportive circle, another thought probed her mind. What would they think of her after all this? Would they support her journey, or would the risks overshadow the rewards? The question hung in the air, poised for another chapter to unfold, an unveiling that could transform everything. Would she dare to step forward into the unknown? As Lily stepped back into the main room, her heart hammered in her chest. She felt as if she had just emerged from a storm, adrenaline rushing through her veins. The atmosphere shifted immediately. James caught her eye first, an encouraging smile breaking across his face, though a hint of concern lingered beneath. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice low. She found strength in his warmth and nodded. "Yes, actually. I think I might have a chance to share some things at the next meeting." Her mother's face lit up with cautious excitement. "That's wonderful, sweetheart. I knew you could do it." But the encouragement felt distant, as the gravity of Michael's words settled deep into her chest. What if this was a defining moment? Could she genuinely reveal her journey, the struggles, the doubts, without crumbling under the weight of their expectations? "Lily!" Michael called out, his voice breaking into her thoughts. He stood near the door, a subtle yet commanding presence. "Don't forget, share your truth." The way he said it, with such earnest conviction, sent a shiver through her. Stepping forward, she crossed the room to where he stood. The weight of all eyes on them intensified the oxygen in the room, but she couldn't look away. "Thank you for believing in me," she said, her voice soft but steady. "I won't let you down." Michael's expression warmed, and for a moment, he seemed almost human, not just a CEO, but someone who understood the weight of aspirations and fears. "You'll be amazing. Just trust in yourself." As he walked away, she felt the buzz of excitement mingled with trepidation. She turned to James and her mother, feeling a camaraderie building around her. Together, they had navigated deeper waters than this. But as she settled into a seat, a knot twisted in her stomach. What if they don't get it? What if they just see a failure? James leaned in, sincerity glinting in his eyes. Or what if they see the real you? The one who has fought through the uncertainty. That's how you'll connect, by being unapologetically yourself. The sincerity behind his words ignited her belief, but deep down, she couldn't shake the shadow of doubt that loomed. The days leading up to the meeting were a whirlwind. Lily rehearsed her speech over and over, her reflection in the mirror becoming a familiar audience. She practiced her vulnerabilities, her triumphs, and the chains of fear she had slowly begun to shed. The night before the meeting, a storm of nerves hit her. In a quiet moment alone, she sat on her bed, hands trembling slightly as she fidgeted with the hem of her shirt. Would the stakes be worth it? What if they didn't respond the way she hoped? She glanced at her phone, scrolling through messages of encouragement and advice from friends and colleagues. Each one uplifted her spirit a little more, but she couldn't escape the inner critical voice that whispered condemnation. "You're not ready. You'll fail." Lily took a deep breath. She had to believe in her journey, not just for herself, but for those who desperately needed to hear it. The next day arrived. The meeting room buzzed with energy, and she could see the expectant faces of her colleagues. It was now or never. Standing at the front, she looked around, each person a part of her story. The doubts swirled in her mind, but as she gripped the edge of the podium, she felt a surge of resolve. But as she opened her mouth to speak, her heart leapt. A sudden realization washed over her. What if sharing her truth wouldn't just change her life but theirs too? What if, and it was a big what if, her struggles echoed their own? As she began, ready to reveal her vulnerability, she locked eyes with Michael, and the moment felt electric, like a silent affirmation passing between them. "Lily," he whispered just loud enough for her to hear, "you've got this." Her pulse quickened, adrenaline filling her with hope. She took a deep breath, ready to dive into the depths of her truth. Even as fear danced in the corners of her mind, she knew that this journey was about to begin anew. But just as the first words began to tumble out, the fire alarm blared, suddenly interrupting everything. Panic surged through the room as the crowd began to shift, confusion reigning. Would they listen now, or would her moment slip away? Lily felt her heart drop into her stomach as the shrill sound of the fire alarm pierced through the buzzing anticipation in the air. Faces around her morphed from curiosity to alarm, and suddenly, every voice in the room turned to noise. "What's happening?" someone shouted, standing up, eyes darting to the nearest exit. Instinctively, Quinn, one of her close colleagues, jumped to her feet. "Everyone, remain calm. Let us follow the emergency protocol, she called out, but her voice was drowned by the cacophony. Lily's pulse raced. This was not happening. She had finally mustered the courage to open up, only to be thrown into chaos. Her carefully arranged words clattered in her mind like fallen dominoes. Would anyone even remember her when everything settled? She caught sight of Michael by the door, his authoritative presence cutting through the crowd. He raised a hand for silence, and slowly the room began to quiet down. Everyone, we need to evacuate immediately. Please exit in an orderly fashion, he commanded, and his voice quelled the rising panic. As people began moving, Lily found herself rooted to the spot, uncertainty gnawing at her. It felt absurd to be standing still while others rushed forward. But an invisible weight pressed against her chest. Had she just lost her one shot to share her story? Lily. James's voice broke through her thoughts, and she turned to see him pushing through the throng toward her. Come on, we have to go. With the flames of apprehension licking at her heels, she nodded and followed him. They made their way outside into the chill of the day. The air was sharp, invigorating, but it felt like stepping from one storm into another. Outside, a crowd gathered, some shivering in shock, others peering nervously back into the building. The faint wail of sirens echoed closer. Lily stood with James, her thoughts swirling. I can't believe this happened, she said in disbelief, wrapping her arms around herself. I was just about to speak. He looked at her with concern, offering her his jacket to stave off the cold. You will have another chance, Lily. This isn't over. But what if I blow it again? She asked, desperation creeping in. What if I can't do this? Do you think any of those people inside are perfect? His gaze flickered over the faces in the crowd, many of them her colleagues with their own struggles. We're all just trying to get through. You're not alone in this. Something in his words shifted the heaviness inside her. It was true. Everyone had their battles, faced the walls of judgment, the fear of vulnerability. For a brief moment, the enormity of her story felt lighter, transformed into something collective instead of just her individual burden. The sirens stopped, and a fire truck rolled up, lights flashing. People began to disperse as officials asked everyone to remain outside. But within that chaos, she felt a spark of determination building. Okay, Lily finally said, a flicker of hope igniting in her chest. Maybe I do need to share my story. Not just for me, but for them too. Exactly. You have something important to say, James encouraged, his voice steady. Just then, Michael approached them, his expression serious but supportive. Lily, I'm glad you are all right. Once this is sorted, we need to revisit your speech. There's a lot at stake, and I believe in your message. Those words locked into place, sending a shiver through her. Did he truly believe that? Did he see the potential in her words? As the reality of the fire alarm situation settled, she took a deep breath, looking at her colleagues gathering around, sharing stories, laughter tinged with nervous relief. Their faces reflected something more: understanding, shared humanity. But even as hope blossomed, another wave of uncertainty washed over her. Was this her moment to finally reveal her truth, or would fate step in again to change the course? As they waited to clear the area, a question hung in the air. Would she be ready to face whatever wave came next? Lily stood outside the building, the air thick with uncertainty, yet something new flickered in her chest, a spark of resolve. The chaotic scene unfolding around her felt surreal, yet in the heart of the mayhem, she began to understand what mattered most. James stood by her, unyielding support radiating from him. You know, it may seem tough right now, but maybe this is a sign, he said, his eyes bright with empathy. A sign? She echoed, glancing up. Yeah, he continued. Life doesn't wait for perfect moments. Sometimes, it throws challenges your way just to show you your strength. You're ready for this. Lily felt the weight of his words settle deep within her. Courage had always felt like an elusive companion, but right now, she was starting to realize that it was an outgrowth of vulnerability. She turned to watch her co-workers mingling, the stress lifting from their shoulders as they shared laughter and stories, a testament to their new bond. I want to share my story, but will they get it? She pondered, biting her lip. The doubts appeared once again, trying to hold her back. Look around, he gestured, motioning toward the shifting crowd. Everyone is just humans searching for connection, validation. Your honesty could be what they really need. With a firm nod, Lily decided. You're right. It's time to face all of it. I'm done hiding. Moments later, the fire crew cleared the scene and the officials waved the crowd back inside, signaling that everything was safe. Her heart racing, she steadied her resolve and followed James into the building. The air felt charged, yet oddly reassuring, as they reached the meeting room once more. A mix of anticipation and apprehension swirled within her like a storm. I'll be right here, James assured her, his presence a comforting anchor. As she stood before her colleagues again, the familiar faces transformed into a tapestry of unity. She took a breath, feeling lighter, bolder. The chaos of the past days melted away, replaced by the urgency to speak her truth. Can I have your attention, please? She called out, gathering their gaze. The room hushed immediately, all eyes on her. The walls seemed to hold their breath, reverberating with possibilities. I want to share something important with all of you, something I've kept bottled up for far too long. With each word, her vulnerability ripped through the air, raw and real. She spoke about her exhaustion, the crushing weight of responsibilities, her fears, and how her journey had shaped her. Tears welled in her eyes as she poured out the struggles that had colored her days. As she shared those heavy truths, she saw nods of understanding, empathy blossoming like flowers blossoming in late spring. It felt liberating, as if she were shedding layers of armor, revealing her true self at last. I may not have it all together, she continued, voice stronger now, but I refuse to pretend that everything is perfect. We are all human, we battle our demons every day. The room's atmosphere shifted. She saw connection, it swirled like a warm embrace around her. She noticed colleagues exchanging glances, whispers of solidarity sparking among them. As she lost herself in vulnerability, there was a flicker of acceptance working its way into the hearts of everyone who listened. If I can find the courage to step forward, I hope you can join me, she finished, her heart racing yet full. Silence lingered for a moment, a thick blanket of respect over her words, before a wave of applause broke through the air. It was loud, powerful, and one by one, her colleagues stood to embrace her catharsis, no longer just a mentor, but a beacon of humanity. James beamed with pride, tears pooling in the corners of his eyes as he applauded her bravery. And in that moment, the chaos outside faded away, replaced with a shared commitment to a new culture, one rooted not just in productivity but in compassion, authenticity, and support. Lily's heart swelled as she realized that she was no longer alone. For the first time in a long time, she felt more than just a girl balancing burdens, she felt like a leader. A leader who had begun to weave together not just her own life but the lives of others tangled in their stories. As the applause settled, Lily knew this was just the beginning. She'd opened the door to vulnerability, and now it was time to keep that door wide open, not just for herself, but for everyone who needed it. And with her heart finally free, she understood one thing: sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is just be real, just be you. Now it's your turn to connect. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss our upcoming exclusive stories filled with inspiration just like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the word. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about Lily's transformation. Your voice matters, and make sure to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation, because you need to help them discover their own strength too. Don't wait not even one more second to show your support.